shit. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. Hello, Jennifer. We are waiting for Jim. It's good to see everybody out there. What's going on, Jen?
Good to see you. Oh, I'm really excited to do our show tonight. We've got such a bunch of good articles to go through tonight. It's going to be a fabulous show. Hey,
It
Jim.
is.
Good to see you.
Hi, Jim. Are we good with the audio? We're waiting. We're all right. Listen, guys, we were having some issues with audio, so hopefully Jim is getting that straightened out. We do have a video tonight that we can play also. And while he's straightening that out, I'm going to turn him down. Okay, he'll straighten it out. He was having... That's the beauty of live, guys, and he will be with us. So we'll quickly say hi, Groot and Kim and Poppy and... Kim is our mod, and Void is here, and Jin Tao, and it's Great Lightning Hunter, Greg Mallard. All right, this is awesome. Anybody on Facebook? Rich Diana, hi, sweetheart. I hope, yeah, we share the same back. Listen, if anybody could please share on Facebook, I would appreciate it, to the climate change groups. Hi, dog dude. All right, Jen. So I do have a video, but we also have a lot of stuff going on, and hopefully Jim's going to get his stuff straightened out. Yeah? So what's been happening?
Yeah. Well, with me personally?
Yeah, with you.
Well,
with
listen,
you.
There's a big lot of flooding going on in Europe. You know, remember when that Arctic vortex came and rested squarely in England and Europe, and it was a very cool summer for them?
Yes.
Well, Germany and Belgium and all the way into like eastern France and the Seine is up to flood levels. There's a lot of flooding going on. So I think this pretty much parallels, Sandy, with the videos that you showed me today of your poor wall.
Oh,
that is
yes, my poor wall. We're having problems with Jim. I hope he can join us. Yeah, my poor wall. A big freaking drag, but hey, listen, it's not like we're not supposed to expect shit to happen, but that's why the show's called Wake Up Call. Wake Up Call.
Right.
Right.
It's a happening. Do you want to be awake or do you want to be asleep?
Yeah.
And I bet every single person here wants to be awake.
I think so. And that's why they're with us. And I do have a really good video. Well, I hope it's really good. I think it's really good. Of course, I made it. And while people are joining us, I think we'll start playing the video, and hopefully Jim can get it together and we can have our Jim with us. I definitely am going to send him the other microphone I have. Definitely. We love each other. All right, guys, listen. While you're joining, Rich Diana, Jen's hair is growing faster than expected. It's beautiful. Thank God she has hair.
This is my pandemic hair, and I have to tell you a secret.
Okay.
So when I took the pandemic, the coronavirus, COVID, that whole thing, I took it very, very seriously.
Of course, so did we.
Because I have lung problems anyway. I just didn't need to get COVID on top of it. So I sheltered in place. I didn't go to hairdressers. And the point of it is I've been cutting my own hair for the last year, and I've gotten really good at it. And I probably never need to go to a hairdresser again.
Well, whatever you do, it looks good. You can trim it. See, I don't. And so that's why I cut it once, and that's why it's all raggy now. But
I cut
At
my
this
own
point,
hair. I
if
do
I
all
show
my
you
own
my
stuff.
nails. Well, that's good. You look great. Me, I
Well,
have
thank you.
perennially black nails of dirt. It's dirt I can't even
Oh,
get out. I think Jim's having audio
uh,
problems, guys.
we
All
may
right,
have to do
so
this.
anyway, I while he's farting around with his thing, and that's the beauty of live, I'm gonna play the opening video for you guys, as we try to figure out his audio problems. And here we go. Here we go. Okay, my walls have sprung a leak. Look at that. I'm gonna need help. The window's leaking. The floor is leaking.
The storm is coming, but I'm prepared. I'll be gone for a while, but don't be scared. Right now, I don't know if I'll ever arrive. Where the grass is green, we're still alive. I hope I'll see you on the other side. I know that I'll be paying for the ride into the black hole. Sing for my soul through the black hole to make myself whole again. You want the truth and you're having doubts, but if I tell you now, the sun dies out. 'Cause I can only give you my heart. When the darkest clouds begin to part, I hope I'll see you on the other side. I know that I'll be paying for the ride into the black hole. Sing for my soul through the black hole to make myself whole again. I'll give you my love, can't give you my love. No, I'll give you my love, can't give you my love. I'll give you my love into the black hole. Sing for my soul through the black hole to make myself whole
And there we are. And let me see now.
Fabulous.
Let me
That was
see.
such a good video.
Did you like
Really
it?
good.
Did you
Oh my
like it?
God, yes,
Oh
yes,
my gosh. Jim,
yes. I
are
saw
you with
had a
us?
little.
Let's hope. Can you hear me?
Oh, you
Yes.
sound
Oh,
good.
yes. Can you hear
Wow.
us?
What do you
Good.
got your
Hopefully it won't mess up the rest of the
Ooh.
time.
Jim's got his
Right.
sexy voice on. Holy shit, Jim. What'd you
Oh,
do?
right.
He's got now let me get everybody's names back together again. Since I
All
keep
right.
All right, Jennifer,
Well, if you really must know.
What did you do? Whoa. Okay.
Sandy, I
Yes,
saw
yes,
you had
darling.
a Thelma and Louise car jumping into some canyon.
I sure as shit did. Well, I keep saying the oligarchs are going to bring us to the Thelma and Louise moment. I think they really are just there, and we are going to be that. But you know
Yeah.
what? We're all in this together, guys. We're all in this together. And if you come to Environmental Coffee House, we are all in this together. And we also have a little edge because we talk about reality and we don't really waste time on a lot of bullshit.
No,
Nope.
nope. Speaking of no bullshit, do you want me to go over what we're going to cover tonight?
I sure do. I sure
All
do.
right, guys. So this is what we're going to do tonight, guys. We've got several really good. We're going to start with the good news and then the bad news. So good news is first. Commercial fishing banned in Central Arctic Ocean as countries look to build scientific knowledge. And then from our Daily Planet, Biden reinstates roadless rule, bans logging in Tongass, which is very good news.
Yes, that is a definite applause for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And the bad news, well, we've got more bad news than good news. First of all, from the Moscow Times, Russia races to build giant icebreakers for
Yeah.
Arctic dominance. Great, fabulous. They're really, really huge.
They're
Then
really,
from
really
Common,
stupid.
really huge, those
Yeah.
icebreakers. It's
Yeah.
scary. They're like, 2 football fields long. It's crazy. Wake up call. Rapidly thawing permafrost threatens Trans-Alaska pipeline. The implications of this speak to the pipeline's integrity and the effect climate change is having on pipeline safety in general. Then we
All right.
have a kind of pipeline safety trust that Sandy's going to go over that
Yeah.
basically details out where some of these pipelines are and various facts. Then we've got something from Siberia from the Thomas Reuters Foundation News. Planes dump water on Siberian wildfires as residents plead for help. And then we go to Europe for the latest flooding event, deadly flooding in Europe. And we've got another one, over 60 dead. These are both out just today, guys. Over 60 dead, dozens missing as severe floods strike Europe. So
That's a lot
that's
of
the
stuff.
good, the bad, and the ugly. There you go,
All right.
Sandy.
I got to ask you both. I hear some kind of echo.
It's not
It's
not
tinny.
me.
All right.
It's not
It's
me.
not my side, and I don't
Not my
know.
side.
Does anybody have do you have anybody have YouTube on
It's
open in their
it's
computer
an
by
echo. I
accident?
can hear an echo.
I
I think
know.
it's coming from Alaska. I do.
Jim,
I hear
make sure
I
your
hear an echo
YouTube
from
is off.
Alaska.
Turn your
I don't
YouTube
even
It's
have
off.
YouTube on.
it's
Oh,
not
I
the
don't have
YouTube.
YouTube on.
The echo is very immediate, but it's just long enough to make the round trip from Alaska. So we're just going to have to ignore it. We're not going to be able to troubleshoot it right now.
are you guys in for that, or do we kick him the hell off? No, we're not
It's definitely an Alaska echo. I
Yeah.
can tell.
Oh,
I can
oh,
tell.
Jim. All right. Well, we'll work around it. Okay. All right. So let's pull up the first article. And that is the commercial one because, we're starting with some good stuff here, guys. There are good things happening. And
There
I
are.
guess I consider this one is. And I think I could start this one a little bit, and maybe Jim could also. He's a fisherman, so I mean, there's some good stuff here. But basically, what the gist is that people are actually using their heads. They're using their heads in such a way where there's an agreement to ban commercial fishing in the central Arctic Ocean, which is an important precaution as the ice melts. And so instead of letting all of these people who probably are chomping at the bit and all of these people that want to earn, fishing income and don't think of anything else, well, nope, tain't going to happen. So they are, it's an agreement. They signed it in 2018, but it came into force late last month. And
Right.
it is Canada and Norway, Russia, Denmark, and the United States, as well as the major fishing nations of Iceland, Japan, South Korea, China, and the European Union. So before any fishing at all can begin, they have agreed to wait until there is a greater understanding of the area. And I love it that they want to wait till there's a greater understanding of the area, but I'm wondering if there'll be an area by the time they get that greater understanding.
Well,
I
the
don't
good
know.
thing is, Sandy, the greater
Yes.
understanding lasts 16 years. This is an initial period of 16 years, after
Yes.
which there will be the option to renew every 5 years. So let's do the math. If it's
Perfect.
2021 and 16 years, that's going to put us at what, 57? Is
21,
that right? No,
31.
no,
Yeah.
31,
31. Wait, what's
31,
wrong with us?
37, 37.
31,
God damn
37.
it.
Yeah,
God damn
we're
it.
really doing
God
great
damn
here.
it.
We
God
all
damn
worked
it.
with math in our jobs. All right,
Yeah.
Jim. I'm turning you down until you have to
Yeah.
talk.
See, I told you when you
Yep.
turned him
All
down,
right.
all that shit stopped. I
All
told
right.
you it was
Jim,
this
when
echo
we
and
ask you
stuff.
to talk, I guess I'll have to turn you up because we love you, but
There-
okay. So, we
The
are
echo
at
from Alaska is
we are
intolerable.
at it's not his
But my
fault.
point is, I just want to bring
Yeah.
this through. So that'll bring us to 2037, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
16 years. And then there'll be an option to renew every 5 years. By 2037, guys, this planet is going to be in so much shit. I can't even imagine. And so, what are they going to say in 2037? I can't wait. Oh, are they going to argue about climate change at that time? Probably not.
Yeah,
And so
Jen, you bring
they
up
can
some good
study
points,
it. So the good thing is, they can study it all they want.
which is
Maybe
great.
they'll be able to see the kilometer-wide seeps of methane gushing out of all the various Laptif and
Well,
Kara
there you
seas,
go.
you
Yeah,
know?
maybe they will. Oh my. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Jim. We are going to bring you in to comment on this article. I opened you up for this. Okay, let's see what happens.
Well, one thing
Comments.
that's going to have to.
Sounds good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you loud
Well,
and
one
clear.
thing they're going to have to do as part of the study is to look at productivity, from the phytoplankton and so forth. But here's the thing. If you're losing the ice, you're losing productivity from the ice algae and ice edge productivity. So if the only productivity is going to be from the open water diatoms, that productivity is going to drop, which means secondary and tertiary productivity will also decrease.
You mean keeping it
So
closed?
that has to be. No, right now in the Arctic Ocean, the primary productivity is from three sources. It's from the ice algae on the bottom of the sea ice. It's when the ice starts to melt, then you get what's called ice edge productivity, you get a little stratification. And then when a lot of the ice melts back and the sun is at a high enough angle, that activates the diatoms. So then the diatoms start doing their thing. If you're losing the ice, you're going to lose ice. You're going to lose productivity from the ice algae. You're going to lose productivity from ice edge productivity. So all you're left with is the productivity from the open ocean diatoms, but they can't do their thing until the sun is at a high enough altitude in the sky, a high enough angle to get them to activate the electron transport chain system in the chlorophylls.
Okay, but can you give me the link with commercial fishing banning? Am I missing something?
I'm just simply saying that's one of the, they want to study. That's one of the things they're going to have to study.
They're going to all right. Sorry.
They have to study productivity.
Yes. All right. That's you're deep in the trenches already. I was left behind here.
Because if you want to have an understanding of the fisheries, you have to understand the productivity.
All right. I guess so. And but will they were talking about the and I'll pull it up really quickly. The Nunavut and it's not just commercial fishing. Indigenous, they fish. They want to go out there too. So
Yeah.
it's a wait and see then. It's a wait and see.
And I've been
Okay.
to Inuvik.
You have. Oh yeah, you have. Well, we have then the one more that's a good feeling one. And then
I feel
Jen is
good
gonna,
too.
yeah, we're gonna do the feel good, and then we're gonna get into the wake up call, and Jen's gonna dig deep in the
Yeah.
trenches over there. But Jim, while you're sounding good, let's give you the floor on the news of Tongass.
Yes.
Well, President Biden has basically said no more logging in the Tongass.
And that
And
is
roadless rule has been reinstated. This
yay.
this is a major victory.
Yes.
It's nice when we get good news. This is certainly good news. I mean, you think about the Tongass is probably the largest temperate rainforest, one of the last few, well, relatively speaking, undisturbed. But Trump was going all on ahead to just rip the shit out of it, and Biden basically has put the brakes on it. So give
We
credit
are
where credit is
really,
due. He
yeah.
did good on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And it also says it absorbs about 8% of the nation's carbon emissions in this article, which is
Wow.
helpful. And
Yep.
so leave the trees there. Oh my gosh, it is a good thing. I feel good about these things. We've been on edge. We've been on edge for so long. What does
Cute.
Murkowski say about this? Oh boy. She, of course, oh
Well,
boy. You know what? She
we
says,
need to end this
oh,
yo-yo effect. Well,
she's an
whatever.
asshole. We need this to end this yo-yo effect as the lives of Alaskans who live and work in the Tongass are upended every time we have a new president. You know what? This has to end. So then make it permanent, you dumb bitch. All right, sorry.
Exactly.
I don't
Okay,
kiss
but
my
you know what?
ass.
Listen
All
here.
right, I
She's
know.
very no, listen. She's very useful because she is a Republican senator, but she does vote with the
You're
Dems
right, and I'm
sometimes.
wrong. But she
So
makes me mad.
I know she makes me mad too. It's idiotic what they
But
say. A
she's
lot of
also
those guys.
always pushing for the corporate interest. Drilling in the
Yes.
Anwar, the logging the Tonga. She's mining this, mining that. She's always vouching for the corporate interests, not
Well,
environmental
and
interests.
I feel like it's not just because of the people needing jobs, but there's all that hey, we'll give you
And our
this for
the other
that.
senator, Dan Sullivan, is a hell of a lot worse than Lisa.
Oh, really? Do you have two bad
And
ones?
Dunleavy, the governor, is nothing but a Koch brothers stooge. So
Well, it was supposed to be good news, guys. We kind of ruined that.
Yeah, we just can't leave doom alone. We can't leave it well enough alone.
No, even if
Even
it's
in
political.
good news, we have to find the bad things.
Well, that's
the
what
caveats were needed.
This is what we're here for. This is what we're here
I
for.
know.
Well, but
Keeping it
Elisa
real.
says the indigenous
We have to.
communities they are welcoming the protections. Logging was a good thing, but it's way out of balance, said Millie Schoonover. So she's the Craig Tribal Council and Craig City Council. So even the even the indigenous are happy with this. And she says there's always more to be done and is calling on the administration not only to protect the forest, but the salmon, deer, and other wildlife that rely on and thrive. So this is all good. And if they're going to push more for more, keep it coming. Keep
Yeah,
it coming.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, how are they going to get those oil sands back to, that was the most hugest atrocity that ever has happened, pretty much. Those oil sands. Is there any way to bring those oil sands back to life? Because that's pretty much dead land now. It went from like,
That's an interesting field of study for us to do a show on, actually,
Yeah.
to really look into. And if anybody is understanding of that and wants to send us links for anything that would help us, that's a
Right.
good one, Jen.
Yeah.
I like that. So let's mark that down. Whoever's my sec, Kim, you're the mod. Mark it down so I don't forget. No, really, it's a good it would be a good show.
It would be a
Well,
good show.
let us segue
All
into
right.
wake up call. Take it away, Jen.
Okay. So, back to our favorite topic, the rapidly melting
Perm
permafrost,
mush.
aka permamush.
Yeah.
Wake up call, rapidly thawing permafrost threatens Trans-Alaska pipeline. The implications of this speak to the pipeline's integrity and the effects climate change is having on pipeline safety in general. So the Alaska permafrost, as you guys know, is undermining um, everything that all that infrastructure up there supports
Right.
that hold up an elevated section of the Trans-Alaska pipeline, which is like 800 miles long, right, guys? Can you imagine 800 miles of a pipeline, mostly on permafrost? What's wrong with this
Oh,
picture?
what is wrong with this
What's
picture?
wrong with this
Oh,
picture?
God.
Putting in danger the structural integrity of one of the world's largest pipelines. The worst case scenario, a rupture of the pipeline, would result in an oil spill in a delicate and remote landscape, and this would be extremely difficult to clean up. This is a wake up call. The implications of this speak to the pipeline's integrity and the effect of that climate change is having on pipeline safety in general. Yeah, I think. So there is a place, a slope 810 feet long, and this whole slope is slipping. And so
Jesus
get all
Christ.
these mitigation measures. It's kind of amazing the lengths that they're trying to go to. So this 810-foot area has started to slip due to the melting permafrost, and it's causing the braces that's holding up this section of the pipeline to twist and bend, and not in a good way. So the pipeline supports have been damaged by slope creep. That's a real term, slope creep, caused by the melting permafrost. And
Slope creep.
to combat this problem, the Alaska Department of Natural Resources has approved the use of about 100 thermosiphons. And these are tubes that suck heat out of the permafrost, right? So they're trying to refreeze the permafrost. Talk about an exercise in futility to keep the frozen slope in place and prevent further damage. So they're trying to freeze 810 feet of this pipeline permafrost. That's not going to stop this. You can't
Oh,
stop the whole slope. You might freeze that section, but the rest of it's just going to go down anyway, right? So the proposed project is integral to the protection of the
alright.
pipeline. There is some concern in using these cooling tubes. Oh, really? They've never been used in a defensive safeguard once the slope has begun to slide, and the permafrost is already thawing. What do you think's going to happen here?
It's a
Yeah, the
mess.
Arctic and Alaska are heating twice as fast as the rest of the globe, as we all know. And they say because of global warming. No, it's not because of global warming. Yes, global warming's happening everywhere, but the reason that the Arctic and Alaska are heating twice as fast is because of Arctic amplification, which is different than global warming. It's part of it, but basically the top freezes, gets hotter faster than the rest, right? So global warming is driving the thawing of the permafrost that the oil industry must keep
Keep
frozen.
frozen.
Oh, good luck, good luck. I'd like to see this. To maintain the infrastructure that allows it to extract more of the fossil fuels that cause the warming. Oh, this is just like,
Jesus.
ironic and
It is.
sad and
Pathetic.
sick and twisted and pathetic and futile, and I don't know what other adjectives I can drag up.
Bingo, Jennifer. Bingo, bingo, bingo.
God.
Okay.
Permafrost is around.
Uh-oh.
First of all,
What?
the Arctic and Alaska is warming 3 times faster than the rest of the planet. It's now actually
Right.
been measured at 3 times. If you actually scroll down to the bottom of that article, they show a section of the pipeline. I want to point
Yeah.
out something on that photo.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, right
everybody see
there.
it?
Okay, you see the
Okay,
pipeline there. You see how it's zigzaggy and all that kind of stuff there. You see the metal, metal pylons.
Yeah,
Yep.
blow the whole thing up, Sandy.
That's what I'm doing. Blowing
Now,
it up.
do you see those 2 things on top of the pylons?
Yeah,
They're kind of like silver in color.
Yeah.
that's good.
You know
What
what
is
those
that?
are?
No.
Cooling tubes.
Oh my
Those are
God.
the cooling tubes. So they're trying to freeze
Holy
the
Those are-
pylon.
shit.
Those that is original to the pipeline. When they built the pipeline, they installed
Wow.
that. Those are filled with an ammonium hydroxide solution.
Oh
So that,
my
and they work in the
God.
winter time, because in the winter time the air is much colder than the ground. So in the winter time, it takes the heat from the ground and
Oh.
dumps it into the air. Summertime, it's the reverse. The air is
Really?
warmer, so they're not working. Alyeska, which is the corporation that oversees TAPS, Trans-Alaska Pipeline System,
Mhm.
they will fly helicopters up and down the pipeline, and they're looking for the infrared signature of these pylons. And if they don't see an infrared signal, they send a crew there to get it right, to fix it. So
Yeah.
there are
Jobs.
cooling tubes in place. Now, as to the pipeline itself, it's 800 miles long. About 400 miles of it is buried. 400 miles is, as you see here, on top of these pylons.
Mhm.
The 400 miles that is buried in either ground that has no permafrost, which is like towards Valdez and so forth, but it's also buried in what's called thaw-stable permafrost. So basically, if the ground thaws out, you just have a pile of rocks and pebbles, that kind
Okay.
of stuff.
All right.
The 400 miles that is above ground is because the ground underneath is thaw unstable, which the article kind of alluded to, which is where you start getting the liquefaction as the ground starts thawing out. Now, if you look at the pipeline, right, it had the zigzags and all that kind of stuff there. That's to allow for thermal expansion, contraction, but also to give a little wiggle room so that the pipeline can actually move during any seismic events. So, for the way the pipeline is built, it sits on basically a shoe that rides on these rails between the 2 pylons. You have the pylons that support this rail, and there's a shoe on it. And if there's an earthquake, it slides back and forth so that the pipeline doesn't break. And it's worked. There's been some, we've had 7.9 quakes and other quakes, and it did what it did. It slid around, the pipeline stayed intact. Now, those pylons, when they designed it, depending on the nature of the permafrost, would determine how far down into the ground they have to pound those damn things in. Sometimes it's like 20 feet, other times it's 75, 100 feet, and basically to get it below the active layer of the permafrost. And then they basically, say, okay, it's unstable. Well, of course, we now know what's happening with the plant, with everything warming up. Well, guess what? Those pylons are metal. What does metal do? It conducts heat. So the metal is now conducting the heat down into the ground.
Right.
And especially with the Arctic warming 3 times as fast as the rest of the planet, you're conducting that much extra heat. So it's actually exacerbating the situation. But here's another issue that a lot of people don't think about. The oil that comes out of Prudhoe is high in sulfur content. And because of that, it's rather corrosive. So you have oil in a 4-foot diameter tube that's high in sulfur, high in corrosive properties. What is the condition of the pipeline itself? because when you see the pipeline there, it's covered with the outside bands of metal that's insulated and this and the other thing. So you're not seeing the actual tube that the oil runs in, and that oil is hot. It's not like, it's hot. It's pumped in there hot. So you got this high heat. Yeah, I mean, this photo here, you're looking south. That's the Brooks Range that there, and so behind us would be towards the North Slope. But yeah, you can see all those little pylons. You can see all the little sections, and the pipeline just sits on that, moving back and forth with any seismic activity. So,
Jim?
So the high sulfur content can actually corrode the pipeline, and if you get a situation, that will increase the chances of a major spill.
See, why can't they just send water through pipelines instead of gas to the Pacific Northwest straight from my basement, and it would be a great thing. But you know why? Because there's no money in it. But you know what, though? I was thinking about this. The water wars. If water wars are coming, maybe pipelines like that are coming for water. Maybe they are. Absolutely. And when they leak and spill.
Well, you know what, Sandy?
And don't forget.
Wait, Jen. Go ahead, Jen.
Don't forget, Prudhoe Bay is an aging oil field.
Yeah.
It's an aging oil field. The daily production has dropped off dramatically. So it's really not going to be lasting that much longer, to be quite blunt about it.
Well, Jim, you're so excited when it's your neck of the woods. I love it, though. It's good. We understand because it's your neck of the woods. All right, Jen, take it away.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, it makes perfect sense. The Great Lakes are overflowing. They are higher than they used to be. People's little beaches are washing away on their, properties.
I know. My friends have houses. Yeah.
So why don't they take the water and pump it from the Great Lakes, make a pipeline, and pump it to freaking, Lake Powell or Alaska,
why don't they? Well, I don't know.
Or one of those places where they've got major reservoirs that are basically getting lower and lower in the Southwest, like Lake Powell, Lake Mead, all those places. They should just pump Great Lakes into there and be done with it.
There's probably a reason that somebody's going to tell us it can't happen. And it's just excess water. Well, maybe because Nestle's not buying it to feed us plastic things, to feed us plastic bottles full of water. God.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Oh. All right.
We had a governor up here, Wally Hickel, who's actually, I think, Nixon's Interior Secretary. But he had the grand notion, and this is typical. Someone hears some scientific term, they think they're a sudden expert on it, and then they say, oh, let's do whatever, not knowing that they don't know what the hell they're talking about. He had this notion that, well, to help the drought conditions in the Pacific Northwest, let's just, build some pipelines and let Coriolis, send the water down to the Pacific Northwest. One problem, Wally. Coriolis deflects water to the right in the northern hemisphere. That would take the water from Alaska and send it out towards the Aleutians. He's kind of going the wrong way. But, typical politician, they hear something and hey, let's just go and do that.
Wow, Heidi's with us. She has a really long comment. Heidi, honey, I can't put it up at the moment. But, all right, guys. So what do you say? Do we get to the next one, which is just it's just a little public service kind of website in case. And I know Heidi understands pipelines completely because she's involved in activism against pipelines. If anybody wants to read her comment, Heidi, would you also post it in the comments when the video's over? That would be awesome. Pipeline Safety Trust, what they do, and this picture, this graphic is a graphic of all kinds of problems you can find with pipelines. It will show you issues. So there's a key to it, red, green, you can imagine. But they started this in 2002, and they put on all kinds of failures, not just catastrophic ones, but everything, so you can know. And I remember back in 2016, when Standing Rock was going on, I was doing all this charting stuff with this. I remember this website charting all these things for my live streams with Real Progressives to teach people about this, because I was learning. I didn't know there were as many pipelines as there are. So they will show you a lot of things. Reportable accidents for hazardous liquid systems, reportable incident for gas distribution. So you get the idea. Home, about the trust initiatives and programs, and about pipelines. Look at you can see everything about pipelines, pipeline info for landowners. So if a pipeline is going to go through your area, you can go to Pipeline Safety Trust. And I fought with all the activists here, and we won against the Northern Access Pipeline. They are fighting to reinstate it, but we will fight again. And there are eminent domain issues, and this website is one that if you don't like pipelines, or you want to know what's going on, or it's going to affect you, come here, okay? And then you can find, it says opportunities. They have a Facebook page. So this is something that's near and dear to me. And thank you. And I hope you all will peruse the page and check out what's happening with pipelines. All right. So now,
pick up on a point
Yes,
you
sir.
mentioned, Sandy,
Yes.
is
Yes.
that there are a lot of pipeline failures and leaks and stuff like that. And the great majority where you find these leaks are where two sections of pipes come together. Usually, like I talked about with the crude that comes off from Prudhoe, it's high in sulfur content. It's corrosion that makes the weld joint on the sections of pipe, that the welder joints the section together. That's what typically tends to fail, and that's where you get your leaks.
But
So usually,
isn't this what all those jobs are for? To prevent these things from happening. I mean, jobs. So why isn't it happening? And don't they have those little piggies that go into the pipeline and check them out and bring back the video to the jobs people?
the piggies basically ream out the deposits.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily they move really quickly, so they're not going to see any.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So they're not going to see any potential failures in the weld joints, unfortunately.
They are pretty sophisticated.
Because guess what?
these
If you
dudes.
send it slowly to look for those things, then you're not running oil and you're not
You're right.
making money.
Yeah, you're right. I remember all of this from my research then. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, listen, we're gonna move on from pipelines, and we are now, and Jennifer is going to take us to Siberia.
I want to
And
do the Russia one. We skipped the Russia one.
oh, we
so I'd
did?
like to
Oh,
complete
let's
it.
do
We
the Russia
skipped it.
one.
Completely.
Oh my
skipped it.
God, I skipped it. Wait, here we go.
I
Well,
wanna do
Jennifer's
the
going to
Russia
take us
one.
to Russia. Oh yeah, this is
Right.
really important. Jennifer, take
Yeah.
us to Russia.
Right.
All right.
So, we like to follow the news, especially the Arctic news as it goes on from Russia. So this is from the Moscow Times. Russia races to build giant icebreakers for Arctic dominance.
Look at them.
Now, show a picture. You shown those icebreakers. They
Mhm.
are they're 1 3/4 of a football field long. They're almost 2 football fields long
Wow.
each one of them, and they're over 50 meters. I think they're 57 meters high. These things are monolithic. They're building 4 of them, and they're just going to be scraping these big lanes. They're just going to chop the Arctic and what's left of it, really, into tiny little pieces, and it can go through absolutely anything. So listen to this. At St. Petersburg Historic Baltic Shipyard, cranes hover over the shining Neva River as hundreds of workers build 4 nuclear-powered icebreakers. Fronted by a Russian flag and named after the country's northern regions, the giant vessels are meant to ensure Moscow's dominance over the melting Arctic. You better believe it, baby. Russia has scrambled to become a leading power in the region, where receding ice cover has allowed Moscow to develop a new shipping route. President Vladimir Putin has made the warming region a priority, heavily investing in the so-called Northern Sea Route that allows ships to reach Asian ports up to 15 days faster than via the traditional
Wow.
Suez Canal route. Transit in the eastern Arctic usually ends in November, but Moscow is hoping that the icebreakers will help to make use of the route becoming more accessible due to climate change year round. Isn't that great? We can just have
Oh,
all winter
yeah.
long, we can have ships slicing through the Arctic,
I think that
slicing up.
gets the toilet flush, Jennifer. What do you
Yeah,
think?
definitely.
Okay, we're going to
Totally,
give the
totally.
Environmental Coffee House toilet flush of the day to Russia and their flotillas. Flush them away. Flush them away, guys. Yep,
Oh my
those
God.
big, hideous monoliths.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So the new ships are called the Cyber, the Ural, the Yakutia, and the Chukotka. I can't say that. Chukotka.
Yakutia and
Chukotka.
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 Okay.
We're getting
So
better.
no. So the ships are designed to resist extreme weather conditions in the far north, towering 52 meters high. Okay, that's pretty high, with a length of 173 meters, able to smash through ice up to 2.8 meters thick. Hey
Wow.
guys, got news for you. There ain't no ice 2.8 meters thick, hardly any in the Arctic anymore. And they will be
That's
sure that
right.
there is none of that left. Because if any of it grows, they'll just smash it. So Russia has not skimped to reap Arctic benefits. Each ship commissioned by State Atomic Energy Corporation Rosatom costs more than $400 million. Construction requires more than 1,000 people and lasts 5 to 7 years. There's a little job security for you.
Yeah. Seriously.
Right.
Jeez.
We need these ships. That's what they say. With a view of the city's historic skyline, workers bustle up and down the Cyber, short for Siberia, which is due to leave the shipyard at the end of the year. So they're almost done. They've been building these things like busy bees, and now they're almost finished. The
Wow.
other ships are expected to join the Rosatom fleet in Murmansk in 2022, 2024, and 2026. So it looks like they're pushing them out every 2 years. It's a very good ship, said Cyber's future captain Oleg Shapov, who has been based in St. Petersburg to follow the last stage of the vessel's construction. Shapov said that the Cyber will be an improved version of its predecessor, the Arctica, which was inaugurated with great pomp last year. So they'll have 5 of them, I guess.
You
We
know,
really need these ships in the
Tara.
Arctic, Shapov said, who is preparing to hire a crew for the Cyber. The icebreakers will be a game changer for Russia's use of the Arctic. God.
Hey, Jennifer, I have a question.
What?
So when these things, what do they run on? Are they?
Nuclear fuel. They're
It's
nuclear
all
ships.
nuclear. Okay,
All
so they're
nuclear.
not going to be driving along, drilling and driving. Sorry.
No, they don't
No
run
drilling and
on
driving.
oil or bilge fuel or diesel or
Wow.
coal or anything.
So
They're
they're
nuclear
yeah,
ships.
out in the
So they
middle
have
of
nuclear cells. Just sink a
yes,
couple
love
of
it.
those in the Arctic and see what happens to the
Sounds
frickin'
like a
methane.
plan.
Kaboom! Jesus Christ.
Well,
Humanity.
are we surprised? We knew that the capitalists would be pushing to exploit the Arctic as soon as we get to closer and closer to BOEs. I mean, you knew they're just going to push to extract whatever resources are there. And as someone who's been on icebreakers, let me tell you, that ain't a fun voyage. Know? The way icebreakers work is they drive very fast on top of the ice, then the weight smashes down through the ice, then they back up, go forward again, right up on top of the ice, boom, and the weight crashes and crushes the ice, back up. You just do this all night. You don't get any sleep.
Oh my God, sounds horrible.
You don't just power through the ice. You get up there and smash it vertically. It's nuts.
Well, they're all very happy because this northern sea route in the Arctic right now freezes completely and is impossible to use year-round, but not anymore. Now they're going to use the icebreakers, and the northern sea route should be should simplify the delivery of oil and gas to Southeast Asia by connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans via the Arctic in record time. Yay! Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, it is what it is. I mean, we're not going to be able to, sitting here, stop any of it. I don't think anybody is going to stop any of it. It is disconcerting that, you'd think a country that, I mean, they're fairly intelligent, and their scientists are like our scientists. They understand the gravity of climate pollution, because that's what I'm calling it. I'm not calling it climate change anymore. It's climate pollution because that's how I can get through to my neighbors.
Yeah.
It's pollution.
Well, climate catastrophe.
But that will turn them off.
Climate crisis.
Pollution. Yeah.
But when you think about how the Laptev Sea, the Kara Sea, the East Siberian Sea are all losing their ice, that's on the Russian side. They'll have an easy route, pretty much.
Yeah,
oh boy,
right. That's right.
So what does that really mean? They're going to do those football stadiums withstand torrential weather, horrible, catastrophic sea weather that they're going to probably hit because things are changing?
Yeah. Well,
that's a good question because looking at those.
Go ahead, Jennifer first. Ladies first.
There's been a couple of hurricanes up in the Arctic during the winter season, and they're very, very strong. And this is also due to climate change. And these hurricanes that are up there, they basically break up all the ice. And this has been happening pretty much every winter, hurricanes in the Arctic.
So hurricanes in the Arctic.
We just had hurricanes in the Arctic Ocean just last week.
Did you?
Really?
Seriously.
Was the football stadium floating down there?
But in all seriousness, I mean, looking at those vessels, they kind of look a little top heavy to me.
And Coop says tornadoes are up there as well. So it's weather whiplash for sure with a blender. Weather whiplash in a blender. Oh boy. Let's see, Anthony, imagine Putin getting on a cruise ship across the Arctic and be hit by a hurricane or perhaps a methane bomb. Okay.
It's
Respect for the president.
I mean, the more things they put up there, because, I just can't wait till one of these things, if they go over a big methane scene, the buoyancy of the water is a lot less because it's all got all those bubbles. It could just go sink right into the ocean.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. Kind of nightmarish. Nightmarish. Well, now, guys, guess what? We're going to Germany.
Oh, are we?
Oh, yeah, we're going to Germany. Jen, would you like to start with this lovely?
What about the fires in Siberia? We skipped that one.
The fires in Siberia.
Oh, there's fires in Siberia. That's the wake up. No, which one is that? Did I lose it? Oh, here we go. Okay, guys. Nothing like being ready. All right. Who's taking the fires in Siberia? I think that was a Jen one.
Well, I just did the Russia one, but I can do the fires too if you want me to.
Yeah, and Jim could bring up the rear with Germany. How's that? All right.
All right.
All right, let's
So
go.
Siberia is on fire again. There are flames tearing through 800,000 hectares of Russian forest,
Oh,
and climate scientists are sounding the alarm about the potential long-term impact. Do you think?
do you
The
think?
defense minister says heat wave caused increased fire risk. The temperatures are 8 to 10 degrees higher than normal, and climate monitors are watching for impact. Do you think it'll happen? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm being so callous. Okay, serious. Russia's
No,
army sent
we are.
firefighting planes to battle huge wildfires that have blanketed Siberian towns in thick smoke as residents complain of being suffocated in a region known for
Oh,
its frozen tundra that is now sweltering under a heat wave.
that's really
With
horrible.
flame Oh my god, it's
It's
horrendous.
horrible. I'm
It's
sorry.
hell
It's
on
just,
earth. It's hell on earth.
yeah, we
It
don't
looks
hear
like
about that
hell.
here. We don't hear
It
about
looks
it
like
really.
hell. With flames tearing across 800,000 hectares of Russian forests, the hardest hit region of Yakutia, the North has been in a state of emergency for weeks as climate scientists sound the alarm about the potential long term impact. Now, that will have a huge long term impact. That'll change the albedo of the snow cover and add so much heat and carbon dioxide and pollution and ash and all this stuff into the system, and all these beautiful trees just poof. Fires in Russia's central Help me out, Sandy.
Okay.
Chelyabinsk.
All right, where
Chelyabinsk.
was I?
Oh, never mind. I'm past it. You had your chance. Region. Meanwhile, last week, gotta
Okay.
be faster on here. Can't dawdle around. Last week killed one man and destroyed dozens of village homes. Listen to this. This is so sad. We're
Yabinsk.
suffocating. Our lungs are being poisoned by acrid smoke. So this was a petition to Vladimir Putin. They're asking for more equipment and
Help.
forces to combat the fires because there's nothing to stop these fires. There's peat. There's permamush that has basically dried out and now it's on fire and it's all flammable and there's no one to put it out, so it just goes. It's full of biological material. Russia has seen its annual fire season become more ferocious in recent years as climate change has driven unusually high temperatures across northern Siberia tundra. This year, temperatures have already hit new record highs. The fire risk has seriously flared up across practically the entire country because of the abnormal heat wave. The most difficult situation is Yakutia. On Tuesday, 2,600 firefighters were battling blazes, and they have
All
borne the
right.
brunt of huge forest fires in recent years. Putin ordered the defense ministry to assist local
We'll get you.
authorities while the army deployed several water dropping douses to set several water dropping, I can't say that word, it was something aircraft to douse the flames from the
The
sky.
illusion. Illusion?
Eh.
Yeah.
Illusion.
The
Illusion.
The Siberian fires have raised fears about the permafrost and peatlands thawing. See, guys, this is exactly what we're talking about. Releasing carbon long stored in the
Mm-mm,
frozen
mm-mm,
tundra. Not stored
mm-mm,
anymore. Not anymore.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, ash from the fires could, no, not could, would, will blanket nearby snow cover, turning it dark so it absorbs more solar radiation and warms even faster. Basically, the albedo turns from white to black. What's wrong with this picture? So, this happened in 2019 and 2020. The record led to record amount of greenhouse gases being released from the region. In just 6 weeks, the region has spewed out 150 megatons of
Oh,
carbon dioxide. close to the 2017 annual fossil fuel emissions of Venezuela. We're still piecing together the information to try and understand what it means for the climate. This year, we haven't seen so many fires within the Arctic Circle within that region, but just within the last 3 to 4 days, we've started to see a number of hotspots occurring and a lot of smoke. Oh my God. While fires rage through the forest, the country has struggled under a heat wave that has broken several temperature records in Western Russia. Moscow roasted at 33.1 degrees Celsius, its hottest June in 85 years. In
Wow.
Siberia, the city of Yakutsk hit 35 degrees at one point. My God, in Siberia, 35 degrees Celsius. The region saw the region city of, I just have to skip these names. I
That's
don't know
okay.
where they are
Verkhoyansk.
anyway. Thank you.
Say it.
Say it one more time.
Verkhoyansk.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Verkhoyansk.
Verkhoyansk.
Seen as one of the coldest places on Earth, saw temperatures over 30 degrees Celsius this year, the state weather forecast energy said. The temperature is really high, 8 to 10 degrees higher than norm. It's really unusual for the temperature to be over 30 degrees towards the north. No kidding, right? He said the temperature should fall in the following 7 to 8 days, with rain also increasing, blah, blah, blah. Similar conditions in parts of Canada and the US Pacific Northwest. Remember, guys, that huge heat wave that struck British Columbia, Seattle,
Yes.
Oregon. It's the same business, right? It's the same business. It's the jet stream really waving up and down very high into the Arctic. These fires will continue to happen with climate change. The question in this situation is what to do? Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. And that's the end of this article.
And we have
Unlike
someone with us that might help figure out what to do.
What to do?
Hi, Antonio. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well.
Hi, Antonio.
Very exciting broadcast tonight. Hey, Jennifer.
Welcome. It looks beautiful.
Hey, Antonio.
We can do
Finally
4
get to speak
people.
with you.
Oh, it looks
Hey,
good
Jim.
with 4 people.
I know. This
Nice.
is great. Well, what's going on, Antonio? What do you think about the show thus far? What we were talking about, all these lovely things.
Yeah, I think the information coming out of the Arctic is very depressing, but nonetheless salient. And a lot of the information we got here concerning Arctic infrastructure is increasingly important. As you see, the oil pipeline is one of the concerns that obviously Arctic infrastructure face, but from Russia to Alaska, there's a lot of issues, including the resettlement of people whose infrastructure is impacted by this very turbulent land. And then what Jennifer was just saying about the amount of emissions being released by a lot of these extreme events, including the wildfires and the region, the Permafrost region itself, are amounting to like putting small countries on the global emissions burden. To put that in perspective, I think it was 2 years ago, the Arctic Siberian region had a fire the size of Belgium.
Yeah, we talked about it.
And that fire almost released as much emissions as the country of Japan. And Japan releases about 433 million tons of emissions a year. And this fire was close to over 300 million tons.
Wow.
And like you say, we're getting these fires all over the planet. And just recently we got bad news from the Amazon, so-called lungs of the planet.
There you
that
go.
They're now coughing up smoke. So that's a very bad sign. If the Amazon is the lungs of the planet, coughing up smoke is a very bad sign. that there might be some respiratory damage there. So we're really having all of these 1-2 punches hitting us. And I really think in terms of the global efforts to lower emissions, I mean, this really, really sets us back.
That's insane.
Well, the Amazon is now becoming a carbon source, not a carbon sink, which is extremely troubling. The other thing is also with the warmer air temperatures, warmer air can hold more moisture. It's going to suck the moisture out of the ground and just make it more vulnerable to fires. And I mean, for example, here in Alaska, if I walk around a muskeg in the past, it'd be kind of squishy, wet and squishy. Now it's crunchy because it's dried out so much. So you're going to set things up for fires, really releasing more and more carbon. There's just nasty positive feedback loops being kickstarted big time.
I have nothing to say because it's just we know where this leads, but we're here together, and so glad you came, Antonio. What you been up to?
Well, I've been steeped in the politics of this, as you know. Bernard Sanders, Democrat Vermont in the Senate, the chair of the financing committee in the Senate, just released a new proposal on the Democrat side, their so-called partisan reconciliation plan, to have $3.5 trillion spent on infrastructure, and to also include climate spending. Now, this is depressing for me, and again, I didn't necessarily want to be depressing, but
Don't worry.
We are in a situation, as I remember, when 2018 came around and the IPCC released its special report on 1.5 degrees. There was real talk about, okay, we have a decade, and this is the starting line, and we're in a sprint now to decarbonize our lifestyles as fast as possible, or at least do the 45% of the 2010 levels recommended. 45-50% of the 2010 levels recommended by the IPCC, in order to stay in line with the 1.5 to 2 degrees goals, or these targets, these political targets. Well, all that's kind of now fallen to the wayside. In the Obama years, the Obama administration had pledged to the Paris Accords to reduce American emissions 25 to 30% of our 2005 level by 2025. Well, that would have required close to $4 to $7 trillion of spending over that 10-year period from 15 to 25. We did nothing like that. Of course, Trump coming to the presidency in 2016 and rejecting the accords altogether, and then Biden coming to the presidency in 2021 and essentially rejecting the accords altogether again. Notice that the original proposal by Biden, but by Biden.
Biden.
His original infrastructure plan called for $7 trillion, and $2 trillion of that $7 trillion are going to be spent on climate mitigation and adaptation. But before he came to Congress, as I think I already pointed out in this show, ExxonMobil got into the ear of the presidency first, and they were able to, and other like-minded politicians, convince Biden to negotiate with himself down from $2 trillion over 10 years to $187 billion over 10 years, and mainly aimed at electric car chargers. And then we got a bipartisan deal, a so-called bipartisan deal, that excluded climate planning altogether from the infrastructure plan, which was absolutely ridiculous. And then Bernie Sanders comes out with there's $3.5 trillion, and so far an uncalculated amount of that is supposed to be part of climate. I can't imagine it being any more than $600 billion.
Antonio, Joe Manchin from West Virginia doesn't want any of it. Had a hissy fit about the climate change stuff. It is so screwed up. Oh my gosh, if we get started on politics, we'll never get off because I am so disgusted with our political structures right now with
Well, what I
both
was going to
parties.
say is that the infrastructure project should be aimed at many things that your guests were just saying. That the
Yeah.
infrastructure project should be aimed at, um, well, I mean, to be quite honest, I think the strategic abandonment of some of these towns and cities in the high Arctic. I think those people need to be resettled and relocated, and I think that an infrastructure plan that's just and equitable would take that in. And then for some of our more permanent infrastructure, I know Jim was just talking about some of the foolishness that the oil companies have gotten themselves into, where they have to pour in liquid nitrogen and other chemicals into the ground so that they can solidify the ground. But at least for some time, we are going to have to find ways to retrofit our infrastructure, at least so we have time to decommission and build down, if that is the plan that global governments want to take. But as I guess you noted here earlier, governments are going in the opposite direction from building down. They're trying to build up the Arctic.
Oh, build up. Yeah. Spot on. Spot on.
Yeah.
Jen?
Well, with all of this, it's probably time to just at least acknowledge the severe flooding in Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, and actually in eastern France as well. It's all of kind of Northern Europe, North Central Europe in that area. And it's absolutely stunning. I'm not going to read everything
No.
because there's just too much, but the pictures, Sandy, the pictures are absolutely stunning. If you take a look, of course, this is causing travel delays, infrastructure fails. They say support is on the way, things like that. But I think a couple hundred people have died now.
And
And
I
there have
did
been
include footage in my video too. This is,
yeah, and
look at this.
there's devastating flash floods in Germany, and whole towns are being wiped out from flash floods. It's absolutely stunning. Of course, the rail service is down, but I mean, honestly, in the bigger picture, who cares? A dam broke in Germany, and it was because of the severe flooding. And 800 German soldiers were deployed for disaster relief, and it's just absolutely stunning. They're getting hit bad, but we really have to take a look. Why is this happening? The reason this is happening is because of the Arctic amplification and the polar vortex and the extreme distortion of the jet stream, which is allowing these big masses of cold air. And then it was followed by the flooding. So some places are very, very hot, like Siberia. Some places are much colder than usual, like Europe, right? So there you
And don't
go.
and don't forget that you have the jet stream not only being very meridional in their flow, but they've slowed down a lot so that you get these systems that just basically stall and just keep dumping away. I mean, sort of like what happened with Hurricane Harvey in Texas. So, and then you got these towns where it's basically roads and buildings. Where's the water going to go? And it's concrete, it's asphalt, so the ground can't absorb the water, and it's just going to build up and just go, as we saw in some of those videos, just a torrent through the streets and so on, taking vehicles and houses. It's just a really horrible situation.
Guys, I think that we really should end with this a little bit of a tribute. A friend died. Stuart Scott. I'm sorry to give the news.
Really?
It's been in the chat. He lost his battle.
Oh.
R.I.P. Stuart Scott. We really have a lot to owe you. Are you okay, Antonio?
So I just
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
I
You
just
were
want to say
friends.
some things. I want to say some things. I had some very
Okay.
good interviews with Stuart
All
Scott
right.
back in the day
Okay.
with when I was with Extinction Radio,
Mm-hmm.
and we had some very, very moving um, interviews. You know, he was really kind of like a fellow traveler. I felt a big camaraderie with Stuart Scott, and he was driven, and he was a deep and spiritual man. And rest in peace, Stuart Scott. He's just was a blessing to humanity and tried very, very hard, to
He
make a
was.
difference.
He was totally an inspiration to me. And Antonio, do you have anything you'd like to say? You okay?
Um, well, that is very, very sad news. I first met Stuart Scott back in 2017, and it started with his I think it was just climate.tv was his program, and I reached out to him, and we had almost a 3-hour conversation over the phone, um, about the economics and science and everything. And it was actually really unbelievable. I didn't think that, anyone like that would even give me the time of day, really. And he ended up, coming to my school, and we tried to put on a climate awareness program where I'm sure a lot of the stuff that he's went over with Jennifer, he was trying to present to my school, because we were so-called the sustainability school. And ultimately, it was really sad because Stuart Scott was somewhat blacklisted by the school. Indirectly, he was divested from and lost sponsorships. And that was mainly because of me. Because the year before, I was participating in activism against Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo had collaborated their chief economist along with our business school and economics department to go after my reputation. And unfortunately, at the time, I was trying to build this conference with Stuart at the school, and unfortunately, he was kind of drug into some of the dirty politics.
That's a shame.
But I always admired him for his passion, his fight. And he understood that this was a fight, and his spirituality, which ultimately was guiding him through this fight. So it is very, 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 very sad to learn of this.
Yeah. Well, we just saw some of the last pieces he did with Noam Chomsky.
And what the thing is, he worked up until the very end.
The
He
very
was
end.
continuing to put stuff out on his new channel after he gave scientists warning
Facing
to
Future. Allison.
Facing Future.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he worked. I mean, he wasn't feeling well. He was very emaciated. You could tell he wasn't strong, and yet he was driven by something greater than himself. And he was driven by love, and he was driven by his vision and understanding of
absolutely.
the catastrophe that we are in right now. And he was very much about, truth in this room only. And he was always involved with the COP talks, and he had his climate TV that he did there at the COP talks. And
Absolutely.
very driven spiritual man with a vision higher than himself. He was very close to Peter Wadhams as well.
Well, that's a big void. there's going to be some big shoes to fill, if they can even be filled at all, because Stuart was one in a million and made me feel very welcome and actually very cared for too. So everybody, this has been a really good show. We've gone on, and Antonio, I'm thrilled that you came on and that I could at least test to see how 4 people look on here. Everyone, thank you so much for coming. Peace out. Everyone have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you, Jim, Jennifer. We really, really love you. We have community and we care. Peace out.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.